Welcome back to another exciting episode of The Necessary Entrepreneur, the podcast that brings you inspiring stories and insights from trailblazing entrepreneurs across various industries. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with a truly innovative guest whose unique business is transforming the way we think about healthy eating and indulgence. Joining us is Rebecca Southern, the visionary founder and CEO of BodyBakery Co. Rebecca has expertly combined her experience and background in nutrition with her passion for baking to create a line of delicious and nutritious baked goods that prove you don't have to sacrifice taste for health. BodyBakery Co. stands out in the market with its commitment to quality, taste, and wellness, offering an array of products that satisfy sweet cravings while supporting a balanced lifestyle. Rebecca's journey from concept to a successful business is filled with valuable lessons and inspiring moments. Today, she shares her experiences, challenges, and the strategies she used to grow BodyBakery Co. into the beloved brand it is today. We dive into the unique aspects of her business model, discuss her approach to product development, and explore her vision for the future of health-conscious indulgence. We also talk about mental, physical, and emotional health, overachieving in life, learning how to hang out with yourself to build confidence, and why to stop making excuses. You can find out more about BodyBakery Co. on social media and at thebodybakery.net. Welcome.
Hi.
Rebecca Southern. What a name. What a name. I don't know
I
if...
just recently became Southern.
I think you've always been Southern. I've gotten to know you a little bit here today. But you've just taken the name Southern recently.
Yeah.
Wow, we can go into that today. That's probably some changed life experiences. Yeah.
I mean, I think this whole thing's going to end up about life experience.
Oh, shit. Here we go. That's what the foundation of all this is. So let me get through the stuff real quick. But
Okay.
Rebecca Southern, CEO. We'll talk about how those three letters feel in life now. So CEO of BodyBakery Co. Right? That's a cool name. And then marrying the world of fitness, nutrition, and gourmet cooking. Wow.
I like that.
Okay. I just pulled these things off all your social media and stuff, and Dave sends me information. But welcome. So you brought in this cool box. Here's what's funny. You are putting together fitness because this looks like something you'd find in a gym, this box. That I would open it up and this belongs in the gym. I didn't think food was going to be in here.
Well, yeah.
But then you open it up and then these awesome...
delicious things that also belong in gyms.
Are these in gyms right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of CrossFit gyms around here.
So I called bullshit. Oh, I did it. Here we go. So I called bullshit on some of this stuff because carrot cake was first. I was like, no way. You are not coming at us and like taking advantage of what
your sweet tooth.
Yeah, what that looks like it's supposed to taste like. It makes you want to eat it, and then cheesecake.
It actually tastes like that.
Okay, it tastes just like it.
This is not like a brownie protein bar that doesn't taste or look like a brownie.
Yeah, we were talking about protein bars. They're just, a lot of them are powdery and not good and don't. So where did this journey start? You've been asked a bunch of questions and the passion for your business, but really the interesting part about being on this show, talking about entrepreneurship and really business owners and your passion and where things, but without going crazy, this wasn't intended on being a business.
No.
So why? Why and how?
Because I have the most insane sweet tooth. Like, I used to say that chocolate needed to be, it's a food group. Like, you need to be able to have it every day. Ice cream lover. I just had this insane sweet tooth. I never had a good relationship with food, ever. And in my mid-30s, I found the world of bodybuilding.
Why'd you hesitate there?
I was trying to figure out how long ago it was. I found the world of bodybuilding and I realized I could marry them. You know, my sweet tooth, wanting to stay fit, wanting to stay healthy, not stray too far away from my diet goals. I hate the word diet, by the way, so I try not to use it.
I don't participate with it.
Healthy lifestyle goals. But the odd thing is I found every extreme along the way. So, yeah.
just the ups and downs of the normal everyday life on dieting and looking in a mirror and not being happy and waking up and not feeling healthy, doing something about it for 3 or 6 months, getting in line, falling off the wagon again. That whole bad hamster wheel that happens to us.
And for me, it started as a kid.
Yeah.
I remember myself binging as a kid, ice cream or whatever, and then getting sick and just not ever having a good relationship with food and not knowing, not learning, not having the nutrition knowledge. And then college was,
Not good.
No, I was a cardio queen that had, Papa John's after the bar every night. And you thought that was going to make it work. And it wasn't until I discovered weightlifting in my 20s when I lived in Vegas that I realized, this is how you change your physique. Eating well, lifting weights, and doing all that kind of stuff.
So how long have you been doing that now? This journey?
Lifting weights?
Yeah.
Probably since I was 22.
We're about to age ourselves because my question was how long.
I'm 42. I think I'm 42.
Wow,
I'm 42.
So you know what's starting to... So I love being around people with your high level of energy, bringing in something you're passionate about. But folks like you that are younger than me are starting to irritate me. This is not okay. This is it. I can go to the gym. I can have a good relationship with food. But I just can't stop this time thing.
That is, yeah.
So
the older you get, the faster it goes. My mom told me that once, and I can't get it out of my brain.
Are you giving advice to somebody that's actually lived longer than you?
Not at all. I mean, but maybe.
Just a few years. So was it tough to make these taste good? Honestly, because I'm a skeptic at heart. It's not good all the time that I am, but I'm like, okay, it looks like it tastes
I would
awesome.
challenge you to open like the cheesecake or something and take a bite of it. Or the carrot cake. They're all thought out.
All right, I'll do it. Okay, as you talk. So
you might need a fork though for that one.
What am I supposed to do here? Carrot cake?
Yeah, carrot cake.
Okay, so was it a challenge to make these taste good?
Yes and no. So when I started making the recipes, I was smack dab in the middle of a bodybuilding competition, like preparing for one. So I could only eat certain things. I did hours of cardio a day. So I had a lot of time to think. And I was alone a lot because all I did was train and do the things that you do when you're preparing for a bodybuilding competition. And I started to mess with like the mug cake stuff in the microwave. And my breakfast was oatmeal, blueberries. I could have a no-calorie sweetener, so stevia and protein powder. And I was like, there's got to be a way to make this like something I would want to eat. And I just started to mess around. And I've always loved baking since I was a kid. I had my mom's Betty Crocker cookbook. And so I just started, I would write recipes down with a dry erase marker on my microwave and fix the ones that, or erase the ones that didn't work and adjust them. And the carrot cake was my first recipe.
Well, good job, because I just tasted it. It tastes way better than you're preparing yourself. Here's the thing. These pecans are good. It tastes different because I think but it's really good. We're waiting, at least me, the skeptic inside, I'm waiting for it to not taste good because this idea of what these protein things should. So
because they're dry and crumbly and
it actually tastes like carrot cake. There's a sense of that should be like a cream cheese icing on top with the pecan. So overall, and here's what I thought. Yep. I could have that and it be a replacement for a normal carrot cake and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
I eat it for breakfast though.
Yeah. Okay. No, but but let's be honest. So do we on all the bad things too.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was, you wouldn't say that this was hard. It was just a process.
It was a process. I loved it though. So I think that's why I would say it wasn't hard. Now, some of the recipes took longer than others, and some I've completely had to just throw out the window because they didn't work. But a lot of it was figuring out the ratio of protein and flour, the wet ingredients and the dry ingredients, and all of those kinds of things. Because to create a recipe, it's not easy, but you have hundreds and thousands of recipes to mimic. And so there's always a way. I'm just a problem solver.
Huh. Where'd that come from? You just became that person?
I think so. I think probably all the way. I think most of the stuff is all the way from childhood. Like, I had to figure it out when I was a kid. My mom was a single mom, and me and my sister just had to figure it out.
Where are you from? A little northeast just came out of you there.
Michigan.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I was born in Colorado. Grew up most of my life in Michigan up through college. I lived in 12 houses by the time I was 12.
Did that force the problem-solving thing to be developed inside of you?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you try not to go back and visit those times?
No, I think I've had a lot of therapy on this. There was a time that I did not want to go back there. But after visiting it and confronting a lot of it and understanding how I became who I am, I'm good with it. I think it's great to go back now because I mean, look at all the things I've done, look at all the places I've been, look at all the things I've experienced, and life's good.
You've arrived at a confident place with a good self-esteem.
100%.
Right.
And I have never had that.
Yeah.
Ever.
What finally brought this on? Because that's why you're okay going back now.
Yeah.
Because you have those two things.
Uh-huh.
What finally brought this on?
Full circle, I think the need to understanding that I had a need to be healthy, both physically and mentally, and the mental stuff came on a lot later.
As it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because we all have life. By the time you're our age, you've lived so many different lives. You can look back and be like, I can't believe I was there once.
What are the hardest things to deal with? The things that you didn't do that you couldn't control, or the things you did that you would do different now? Which ones are the toughest to go back and deal with?
I think
the things others did to you, or the things you did yourself?
Right now,
yeah.
In the past, it would have been what others had done to me. Mm-hmm. But now that I understand what I control and what I don't control, but I also don't regret the things that I did wrong. Like they weren't some of the decisions were not great ones.
Yeah. We tend not to regret those things. We can get real with those real quick, right?
Yeah.
If you're in a good place now, you're like, well, if I wouldn't have been or done that, I wouldn't be who I am now.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that the relationship that we had to overcome was the things that others did to us.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
To realize like, hey, that wasn't me.
Uh-huh.
That's something they did.
Yeah. And that took me, for a couple of people in my life, that took me a really long time to figure out.
It tends to hold so many humans and adults back from fulfilling truly the person that you should be. And, right.
You know what the crazy thing is it took me finding out how to hang out with myself to find that confidence and to find and to get in the space that I am now. Because if you really are honest, most people don't like to hang out with themselves. They don't like to be alone. They don't like to be alone with their thoughts and their past and all that stuff. And it wasn't until I was able to sit down and like realize, yeah, I like hanging out with myself.
When that process started, did you know it was starting when you were having the conversation with yourself? How'd that happen? Because I think this can help so many more people.
I think
was it forced? Was it a breakup? Was it those things?
Yeah, I mean, it was a couple of things.
Yeah.
I had just moved here from Las Vegas, and I moved here for a couple of reasons. I had family here, but I was also getting out of a very unhealthy, abusive relationship. Like I needed to leave. And so when I got here, it was 2012 in December. And so 2013, that was going to be the year of me. That was when I started, like, that was the first year I competed. I started just to do stuff for me, try and find myself again, like all the things after you've been through some traumatic life stuff that you try because you're trying to figure out who you are now. And that was the pivotal. And I didn't know that I was doing that then. I was just trying to figure out who I was.
What do you want to go back and tell the 31-year-old Rebecca? Because that's when that was. What do you want to go 31. Back and tell her?
You did the best you could with what you had. And as long as you allow yourself to learn from it, like you'll be good.
That invokes something. I'll move on. Is
okay.
that right? But I think there's nothing wrong with that because I think looking back and being proud of the person that we were, that they actually did give the best they had. And if that person hadn't given the best they had, you couldn't have been here.
Yeah, but I also think there's a point where you have to be like, you did the best you could, but
it wasn't good enough.
It wasn't good enough.
But
then I think that goes with people in your life and the things that they do to you as well. Like, they might have been doing the best that they could, but it might not have been what you should have had.
There's things to learn. You got to move on from some people, right?
Yeah.
So this fitness journey.
Yeah.
Was this from your own doing and figuring out?
Yes and no. No, because when I moved to Vegas, I got a personal trainer, and that's where I learned to lift weights because I had no experience prior to that. So that is where I learned how to do the things.
You mean you don't just go to a gym and pick stuff up and start throwing them around?
Well, that's what in college I would go to the gym and I would run on the treadmill forever because that's all, or do, the elliptical forever because that's all I knew. And I thought I just needed to burn calories and
Need to build muscle.
nothing changed. And I need to build muscle.
Yeah. Is it important to do both?
100%. But I do think it's important to know your body because some people doing a wild amount of cardio will be not healthy for them.
Yeah. And so this idea of hitting the gym for so many folks, it just is painful. It's mentally painful. The third day after you actually have the bravery to go do it, and then what you're going to feel.
That's painful.
I know you don't feel you don't feel the beginning pains anymore, right? You feel probably constant pain now, but you don't feel the beginning pains.
I feel the post pain, like after years and years of doing it.
Yeah. So it's worth it though.
I think there's a balance that's worth it. I think I overdid it, and I found the unhealthy extreme of bodybuilding. And so I think you can go to an extreme, and I've always been like that extremist. And this is the first time in my life that I've kind of like found a happy medium.
What's
found
that?
Some balance.
Yeah, what's that feel like? If this is the first time you found some balance.
So comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew I could be so comfortable in my own skin.
Is it not? It's not plateauing. It's still performing at a great level, though.
Well,
it feels like it, but that's really this place you're talking about. It's almost like it's utopian.
Yeah.
Where you're still achieving things professionally.
Uh-huh.
Your mind has calmed down. You're still in the gym doing the thing you're passionate about there, and it feels like, oh, this is okay.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you like pat yourself on the back like, good job? What do you call yourself? Do you call yourself Becca? What do you call yourself?
That's a funny story. I'm Rebecca now. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I was born. My mom wanted my nickname to be Becca. My family called me Becky. They just didn't. They couldn't. It couldn't. It didn't. From my understanding, it didn't stick. To this day, my great grandmother, who is 105, and sometimes my dad, call me Becky, and that is it. But when I moved to Michigan to middle school, I said that I wanted to be called Becca, and so from then on, I was Becca. And then post college, I was like, oh, Becca's a little young. So I moved to Rebecca, and it's been Rebecca ever since.
Oh, so sophisticated and professional.
I'm growing up.
finally, she's here.
I don't know
you
about
all.
the professional part, but
this is very professional. So what's the heritage with that dark hair and the dark eyes? Is this Greek or Italian or
Italian and Irish?
What?
From my understanding,
Irish.
Yeah, weird.
Huh.
I have never done like a 23andMe and all that stuff, but no, the hair's from my dad. My mom has very curly hair. My dad has the dark hair. My sister's is like red and curlier than this, so I don't know.
So who knows?
Yeah,
the true melting pot. Tell us where you're at in this journey of an entrepreneur with the baking company.
Honestly, I don't even know. Like small business, yes. Too small to be big and too big to be getting my ingredients at a grocery store.
Mm-hmm. That's still where you're at.
What do you mean?
Where are you at? When did you exceed beyond the place of we jumped from grabbing the ingredients from wherever, bulk it, Sam's or Costco and all those places?
We're about there.
Okay.
I still dabble in a lot of those, but looking at co-packers right now, and so trying to source that stuff, that's a big weird change because I've always done everything
on your own.
On my own.
Yep.
And I have a little help now. I have some money behind me, which I've never really had, so that's cool. I have a couple of quiet opportunities that I can't speak of right now.
You're not a quiet person. How's that
no.
going? How's that going for you?
It's not very good. For the people that are closest to me or spend the most time with me, they already know.
Okay.
But they've been sworn to confidentiality.
Sworn to secrecy. Did you make them sign it?
No.
Huh, okay.
So yeah, we're looking at the co-packer space and trying to figure out how to scale these so more people can enjoy them, get them into grocery stores. We just got a yes from Fresh Time. So we'll be in 7 Fresh Times in Columbus and Cincinnati and Dayton. GNC franchises. We've been approved through their corporate. So we're in 8 local GNCs. Bruce and Sarah Seidel are awesome franchise owners. And Better Blend. Isaac do you know Isaac?
I don't, but they're growing like crazy. People have said,
he's
"Hey, you
crazy.
gotta have him on." Yeah,
He's an awesome businessman and person in general.
Yeah.
They franchised, I think, about a year ago, and he's killing it.
Yeah, they're blowing up.
Yeah, and our stuff pairs really well in their stores. So yeah, just trying to get in the grocery market and figure out how learn about all the stuff, because I've never ran a business. I've never done this before. And so I think that's part of the reason why it's taken me 8 years.
Tell the business owners that are listening and the entrepreneurs that have been doing it longer than you, tell them what you know.
I don't know a lot.
But tell us what you do know.
I know how to problem solve. I know where to find answers. I'm not afraid to ask someone a question and just say, I don't know what I'm doing in this space. Like,
how have the responses been when you've asked those?
Oh, they're amazing. The community around here is pretty cool. The people that you surround yourself with, in Cincinnati in general, the food space and the CPG space is very, very welcoming and open and helpful. And everybody knows someone who maybe, and they'd be more than happy to introduce me, kind of those things. Yeah. So really getting that community around you, I think is very important.
So when's the moment that you wanted to quit? I'm not talking about every day, but when's the big?
How many times am I allowed in 8 years?
Like 3,000 times.
I've actually known that I will never quit.
But wanted to.
No. I think I will not quit. Like, my plan is to scale this and sell it. But there's been a handful of times that I've asked why. Like, why in the world? Why in the world are you doing this? Or did you do this? Or did you decide to do this?
So why did you?
I think to fulfill something in myself, but also, like, I didn't want to be in the corporate world anymore. I don't want to work for anybody else. Like, I love my day-to-day. You get to decide what you do every day, and you don't love everything you do. But guess what? It's yours to do.
So why not the corporate world?
Well,
you're not in it anymore, so you can trash it.
I mean, it's for some people, it's not for some people. Some of us weirdos just don't do well in it. Do
you really think it's for some people?
Yeah, I think we need it.
No, I know we need it, but do you really think it's for some humans?
Yeah, I think some people. I think some people are able to compartmentalize that this is an income. This is a way for me to get an income, and I'm okay with that. And then I have this over here.
I haven't seen too many people smiling there.
That's their own accord.
Yeah, it is, right? But what my point is that look at you taking action, and you've never been smiling bigger than ever than this person.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so having the gumption, having the, I guess, less risk averse Rebecca show up, right? And they're like really wanting to conquer your wife in the best way that you know how. That person showed up and you said, I'm just going to do this.
Yeah.
Whatever caused it, whatever was the catalyst, you just did. You accepted that for a while.
Yeah.
You did. And I know.
Yeah. Well, I was never able to stay in a job. I have never been fired, for the record. I have never been fired from a job.
So you quit before you were?
I've never, no, I don't think I would have ever gotten fired if I would have stayed. But I've never been okay with staying where I was at. Like, I've never had a job for longer than a year and a half or 2 years.
So what's it like to be an overachiever? Tell us.
That's hard. You got to learn to settle sometimes, I think. I am a little bit of, I'm an extremist. I'm a little bit of an overachiever. Ask my husband.
Not a little bit. Not a little bit. Right. But this is it's not a negative attribute of people.
No.
It's not perfectionist. Overachiever is not perfectionist.
I used to be a perfectionist.
Yeah, that's unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Found that. But I've dialed it back. And so overachiever is good.
Yeah. I mean, overachiever just means you just want to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
You don't stop when others do.
Well, that, and you don't stop when you run into a road bump or a roadblock or whatever. It's like you got to figure out how to get around it or over it, and that's a lot of this. The bakery wouldn't be here if I gave up every roadblock because I literally run into one like at least once a week.
Is that the biggest? That would be called perseverance. That's the characteristic, right? Yeah, there's grit. Yeah, there's persistence. Yeah, there's these things, but that's perseverance, overcoming.
Yeah.
Has that been the most important quality or attribute, or is there another one? There's many that are important, but is it the most?
Yeah, I think so, because I think if you don't have that, like, you're gonna end up quitting, or not being able to, just not being able to handle it.
So why aren't you a quitter? You said you don't quit. Why aren't you? Because a lot of people can tell us why they are. All the reasons and all the excuses.
Well, I don't. Me and excuses don't
go well together.
I don't know when exactly I learned to just, they're not worth it. Like, I am not. I don't enjoy getting excuses, but I don't 100% don't give excuses.
Yeah, you're serious.
I will man up and say, this was my fault. I did this. I'll take responsibility. But I also expect other people to do that too.
Yeah. That's tough to have expectations of others, isn't it?
Oh, it's detrimental. Like, it'll get you in trouble.
Mm-hmm. It's like the worst.
It is the worst.
Why?
Well, I mean, when you have an expectation, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to exactly fulfill that expectation. And then you'll be disappointed.
Mm-hmm. How often are you disappointed with Rebecca's performance?
Not very often anymore. I think I used to be a lot. That's where the perfectionist, that's where you get the unhealthy, all that stuff. But now it's a little bit more grace and a little bit more understanding, and knowing my history and my past, like, I've gotten through everything.
Isn't that funny?
Like, I've figured it out.
Yeah. The hardest thing you ever dealt with is the hardest thing you've ever dealt with. You're sitting here today because you overcame it.
100%. And I wouldn't be here if I hadn't tackled all the things along the way. I was recently filling out an extremely long application for this thing, and it took me all the way back. Like, you had to answer all sorts of things.
Be careful on the things you tell me. I can figure things out well. I won't say the thing, but I have a pretty good, I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to make insinuations.
We can talk about that offline.
Yeah. Okay. That could be exciting and fun, but.
And I realized, like, if it wasn't for the hard things 7 years ago that I would look at today and be like, that's funny, then I wouldn't have done the things I'm doing this year. And so, yeah, that's that natural progression of learning what you're capable of.
If we can learn to appreciate the hard things, it's because the person we become on the other side and how capable we are then.
Well, and appreciating the hard things is how you get people like me, and not the person who makes excuses or has a reason why or has something that's somebody else's fault, which is, like, you got to appreciate the hard things.
Yeah, I love when there was somebody in my past or close relationship, actually a family member, that when I would call them out on their excuses a long time ago, I haven't talked to them for 8 or 9 years. And I said, you need to stop making excuses because it just doesn't work. You're not going to accomplish the goals that you've set out for if you keep making the excuses. And that they yelled and they said, I'm not making excuses. I'm giving you reasons. And I snapped back and said, same thing. And until you figure that out, you're going to have some problems.
Yeah,
right?
You weren't going to get any farther with that conversation.
Yeah. I hate it for people, though, because it's just showing insecurities, a lack of confidence.
Well, you almost wonder, like, what happened?
Their past.
What happened in your life that made you go to this as...
Somebody hurt them. That's it.
Yeah.
Every time we show up with these bad characteristics, someone hurt us.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it goes back to being kids.
Yeah.
And, man, I think we're living every day of our life trying to overcome that until we do. And then once you can realize, like, you didn't do it to you, someone else did. And that's not your responsibility. Like,
but now it's your responsibility to deal with yourself.
But that's what's so special.
Out of that.
But that's great, though.
No,
when you
100%.
can get here, like,
that's
I'm
good.
totally in control. So what do you think this is going to look like, this Body Bakery and Company? When we see this in 100,000 locations nationwide, and you have a valuation of $150 million, and someone comes and buys it, what's it going to look like? Is it going to be a total different iteration than this?
I think it might evolve a little bit. I see some of that happening now with what we're doing, but I'd like to keep the values that we built it on. I'm hoping that I can find
or be acquired by someone who wants to keep those values. I probably won't sell it if they don't want to keep those values.
You said probably. So unless the number's so big.
I mean,
We sell out. We sell out.
The thing is I created this company so people can enjoy dessert and not feel guilty about it.
Yeah. So you would want that to continue on.
Yeah.
And why not? Why have it go away if it's that good, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't think it will go anywhere. And some of the stuff might change about it, but I just, that's why I created it so I could have dessert every day and not feel bad about it. I started posting it on Facebook. Like I didn't intend this. I didn't make my LLC and then start making recipes. I was making recipes and posting them, showing my friends, and people started to offer to buy it.
Great businesses come from the things that were for us.
Oh, 100% for me. Every single one of these things.
So when you make all this money at some point down the road and you sell, what are you going to do with it?
Oh, I'm sure I'll find something else to.
You don't already have the vision board and the plans and the things?
For me, the end goal is not exactly just the money.
Don't tell me it's a validation.
No.
Okay.
I mean, who doesn't want to make it? Who doesn't want to not have to worry about their finances?
Yeah,
like,
I'll exchange the validation for the money all day long. Give me the money. I will give you the validation. My ego's done. You can have it. I've stripped it all away.
No, but part of this for me is like the past 8 years, I've really enjoyed my life. And so the next 10, I really want to enjoy my life. And now this is my retirement because I don't have a 401k.
You've rolled the dice.
And so this, like the money part is going to be my retirement. But the real win for me is like, did you have 20 or 25 years that you really just enjoyed life? You enjoyed what you did every day and the people you talked to and the people you helped and, the emails and the texts of like, oh my gosh, these are so amazing. How did you do this? Thank you so much. Like,
how good's that?
I enjoy my life. Yeah. And for me, that's a lot of it. Now, don't get me wrong.
Oh shit, there's a serious.
I want the valuation to be big, but I will have worked 20 or 25 years or however long it is.
Sounds like you want it all.
And why not?
That's good. If you like these conversations, be sure to follow The Necessary Entrepreneur on your favorite social media platform so you don't miss out on future content with fascinating guests. So you wake up and you love your day.
9 times out of 10.
How many hours do you work? How many hours do you put in doing this?
I think for any entrepreneur in my spot, can you really?
It's all day.
You don't clock in and you don't clock out. I do tell my husband every about 3 months, I'm like, I have to get out of this house because my office is here. A lot of the stuff for the business is here. And so unless I physically leave, I am working or thinking about work or thinking about what's next or getting ready for all the things. Like I don't go to a job and come home from a job.
You work out at home too?
No.
You have a gym you go to?
We have a gym.
Okay, that's good.
We have a couple things at home that I could do, but yeah.
So you said no 401k. A lot of people, the reason why they stay in the corporate environment that we were talking about before, it feels safe.
Safety is boring.
Yeah. So, but how risky does this honestly feel though? Or how risky did it feel in the beginning? If you're being really transparent and honest about it.
If I'm being really transparent and honest, I think the fact that it's taken me 8 years to get where I'm at means I could have been riskier, but I was safely risky. The first 3 years of the business, I was in the corporate world, and this was like my little side thing that I did. And I remember talking to my dad year 2.5, and I was like, I really want to get out. And he's like, well, what would you do? I said, well, I worked at the casino in Cincinnati. And even though I was there for 6 years, I legit had 4 different jobs. This is why I can't stay in the same position. And so I strategically thought, how do I get out as safe as possible? So I went from I was in HR. I moved to the food and beverage buyer, knowing that that would give me experience for this. Like, that's why I took that job. Like, I could meet some people, I could learn some things, all of that. And that was in food and beverage before I was in HR. I managed the buffet in Starbucks and all that. And then I was on the phone with my dad and I was like, well, they sometimes give these poker classes that you can become a poker dealer. And so if I could work nights dealing poker part-time and make enough money to pay my bills. And then I had to have more time for this. And lo and behold, like a year later, there I was. They were offering the first poker class, and I took the class, and I became a graveyard poker dealer after being on salary for the last 5 years at that place. And that was, I think I only dealt poker for like 8 months. It was definitely a means to an end, and I knew it. Like I was getting to where I was like, and I got to be done.
Wired. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you realize whatever the jumping off point was, because there was one,
There was a couple. Yeah.
right? Did you know that you just had to, or you wouldn't be able to fulfill the idea of what this should have been? Was that a thought, or no, it just kind of happened? Because a lot of people, they start with a side hustle. And at some point, you got to bring the thing full circle.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this.
Yep. And that was my decision to continue to try and get out of the casino and make those moves, was that I knew I need to flip it on its head. I knew the side gig needed to become the full time, and the I still needed to make money. So I needed this to be my full time and then have other side gigs. So after I dealt poker, I did janitorial work at the sheriff's department for 2 years. And in March of this year, I finally quit my last side job.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It only took me 8 years.
But there's a really good story in here about this, that you were very intentional.
Mm-hmm.
From that conversation with your dad, and you said, he's like, what are you going to do? And then you set out to do these things that weren't jobs that were ideal. You didn't set out to say, hey, this is the job I'm going to do.
I want to go clean toilets for 2 years.
But even deal poker, you didn't want to do that.
Oh, no. I couldn't deal a hand right now if you asked me to.
Yeah. So it was very intentional, the steps and the moves you made. And then you planned out years.
Loosely. And so this was like, I had a plan and I held it very loose. And it just so happened that some of the things that I planned worked out exactly how I thought they might, the poker thing. And then you just hold them loosely, because have a plan and know the direction and know the road you want to go down. But don't hold it so tight that if that exact thing doesn't happen, it's going to derail you.
Yeah. But you were taking action around those things.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You were thinking about the poker thing, and then the class showed up, and so you went and did it.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of how life happens. When luck shows up, there's something that we did in the past that caused that luck to happen.
Awareness, I think, a lot of it.
You think that was it?
Yeah, just awareness, knowing your capability, being willing to do it. So many people would not be willing to do it because it's scary.
Janitorial at the jail is probably the thing that everybody's going to listen to that they wouldn't do.
Correct.
What was that job like?
It actually was perfect for what I needed it for. So it was like 2 to 3 hours in the evening, anytime after 5 and before 6 a.m. So I could go anytime. And it was a lot of emptying garbage, cleaning toilets, and, mopping the holding cells, and it was janitor, but it was on my own time.
Yeah.
And so I had the rest of the week to dedicate to all the things that I then needed to do, be in the kitchen, or, I don't know, all the things I was doing back then to try and stock in the gyms and meeting people. And
built by a janitor, owned by a fitness guru.
Something like that. Is that going to be my biography?
Who gives a shit, right?
Right?
Take the money and run and look at what you built.
I mean, at the end of the day, what are you willing to do to make this became my dream? And a lot of it became my dream because people loved it. And I realized, oh, it's not just me who wants this stuff. And I've always been a people pleaser in good and bad ways, but why not? If this can be my passion project and I can do it every day and help people enjoy and not feel guilty. You know how often I would feel guilty about the stuff I ate, or,
every day,
ruining
every
my
moment.
diet, or
worrying about what you did in the past, worrying about what's coming up, worrying about what's happening now, just worrying.
Yeah.
How in the world did you have time to find someone they ended up sharing a name with through all this stuff?
Mr. Southern.
How did this happen?
And so this is my first marriage.
Well, congrats. You sound like that's what, congrats.
It took me 40 years.
Well,
Longer for some than others.
Maybe you learned what you truly wanted and you had to deal with all the idiots.
100%.
Right?
No, it's funny because he was new to the area about 2 years prior to us meeting. But in the little bodybuilding world, he's a power lifter.
You threw a dumbbell at him and it kind of hit him in the head.
No, the funny thing is I'm going to bring up Facebook. We were Facebook friends like 2.5 years before he moved here. And we met like 2 years after that.
Oh, that's so cute.
And it was just one of those things where it probably popped up as like, you might be friends with so-and-so. And so at that point, you're saying yes to friends to everybody. But fast forward him being here about 2 years, I think, we were going to the same church. And ended up, we had met in person one time prior in the gym through a mutual friend. Didn't think anything of it, went about my business. And then it was like 6 months later. I asked him out, by the way.
Of course you did. I'm not surprised. Rebecca Southern, truly the match made in heaven. They met at church.
Through church.
Through church.
Yeah.
So this thing was happening behind the scenes and you didn't even know, you didn't know it was happening.
Yep.
When's the first time you thought, that guy?
Probably when I asked him out for coffee.
Right then. You're somebody that just sees it and does, right?
Well, it was just interesting. Yeah, kind of. Sometimes. He would probably say, I just see things and do it.
What was interesting? You're like, it was just interesting. What was interesting?
I mean, it was one of those stories like he'd posted on his story that he was doing this thing at the church. And I was like, oh, I go to that church. And then I was like, oh, he's cute. And then I was like, oh, he has 2 cute daughters and he loves them. And he's a good guy. And so I was like, well, let's ask him for coffee.
How much does that mean?
What do you mean?
The good guy. How much does that matter?
I think values are 100% so important.
That we didn't know we were young.
Yeah. I think that's one thing you need to learn as you, like maybe in your late teens, early 20s. If you could understand that you need to know what your value system is, that'd get you.
Not make life easier, but it probably would.
But it would. Because what? Values direct your decisions.
Yeah.
Respecting yourself is huge, and not very many people do it anymore.
Yeah. Why are we devoid of that maybe in society at times? Because I bet, here's the thing, your parents loved you. You've invoked your dad a couple times here. Like, he's your dude before Mr. Southern.
He is. My dad and I did not have a very close relationship early on. My mom and dad were divorced when I was 2.
She raised you, single mom?
Yep.
Yep.
But it wasn't until I was adult. And my dad and his family have a business in Colorado and very successful. And so we started to get a little bit closer as I was an adult, and then I could talk to him about these things. And so, yes, now we have a very good relationship. And
there's a lot of people that have that same scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Was that tough to put together and figure out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot.
What advice would you give to folks now? I mean, you figured it out, but a 20-something-year-old guy or girl that doesn't have because a lot of times what's funny is that's why moms are awesome, because they just take the heat for raising kids. When there's a single parent household, they just take the heat normally. But a lot of times you hear this story that then there's a relationship rekindled with dad. And listen, the reality is a lot of it's the dude's fault.
I don't know that it was my dad's fault.
Okay.
I mean, life.
I get it.
It's life.
I get it. We're busy. We get caught up on things. I don't have kids, but I just see this happen a lot. And the funny thing is, though, they don't love the kid any less. It's almost like they've been holding it back because they didn't get to be around them, and they would do anything for them. It's just weird when you hear them talk about it now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think every situation is so different. It's hard to just be like, oh, and it's like this for everybody. And I don't know what it was like for my dad. I don't know what it was like for my mom. I've learned a lot of things as I've grown up about what happened then compared to what I thought happened. And so the story I thought happened wasn't necessarily what happened. And by the time you learn all that stuff, it's like, is there really...
Does it
matter?
It really doesn't.
No. But in going to therapy and figuring all that stuff out, like, not the fault of anyone, but now your responsibility to make sure you handle it correctly for the cards that you were dealt. Maybe you didn't have the child you should have had, but who does?
Yeah, right? We weren't probably. They didn't have the one they were supposed to have either.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And so,
And then now it's your responsibility.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what the evidence that we can carry forward is. Like, hey, if there's tough things that happen to us in our life, well, great. Now you have the responsibility to make sure that doesn't happen.
Well, that and like turn it into something
Awesome.
good. Turn it like, why not? It takes the same amount of energy to either be resentful and hateful on it or turn it into something good.
So you're telling me the good carrot cake that I just tasted 30 minutes ago has all that life experience in it, and that's why it's so good.
Yeah.
Why did I have to say that?
Baked with love.
Oh my God. That is not on the marketing here. That is not, this is baked with 25-pound dumbbells is what this says.
Yeah.
So you think this stuff's you think it's going to kind of look like this, but I've learned that packaging changes. Things change, right?
Things will change.
Yeah.
Things will change as it scales. And I mean, if you've ever been in, and if I knew now or knew then what I know now, because we're small, we can do it like this. Once you scale, things are going to change. However, I'm hopefully going to be able to lead the changes in the best way possible. There are a couple things I want to change right now with the packaging and the products, and just to make them easier or better or more convenient.
What comes first? More money to make more things, to make them better, or finding places to get the product in when you get the money?
That's a great question. I'm still trying to figure it out. Well, because you got to have one to have the other, right?
And this stuff is a chicken or an egg thing. Like this.
It 100% is. And so, like I said, we're looking at co-packers because I do need to scale. But co-packers have, a minimum of.
How many thousand?
Yeah, exactly.
For each item, right?
No? It depends on the co-packer.
Okay.
But yes. And then you have to be like these, since there's no crazy preservatives, freezer for 6 months, like you got to be able to sell them in that amount of time. So if you go to a co-packer and make 3, 5, 10,000 units, where are you going to sell them?
It'd be on the corner if you can't
right?
get them in the stores.
And so I think that's the conundrum is like, how do you do them both at the same time?
How do you?
That's what you're trying to figure out. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So right now we produce everything in a facility in Newport with a small team that I have.
See, y'all, the Kentucky side's the best. I'm just saying. Sorry, in Newport.
In Newport.
With a small team.
Yeah. But we're at the point where like I can't do it all. And so finding the co-packer is going to be the fix for some of it. But then also at the same time, I need to be out there and signing more GNCs to get, like, we have a freezer promotion that we just did, and that was that's an interesting thing.
Talk about that.
So when we've been in the local GNCs for at least 5 years. Sarah and Bruce picked us up really early, and at the time, GNC did not have specific regulations on food products. They have specific regulations for their franchises on supplements, to my understanding, but at the time they didn't. So franchises were free to bring in whatever. They gave me a chance, and we were pretty successful. But the problem was they didn't have freezers. GNC generally doesn't have freezers. So we worked out with them, got a couple, just, secondhand, whatever. Fast forward late last year, GNC Corporate ended up getting around to pushing the paperwork through to get all the franchises on board with. So all of our SKUs are in GNCs now.
Okay.
So I started to call up franchises and offer samples and all kinds of stuff. Everybody loved the stuff. Caveat, they don't have a freezer. So how do I fix that? How do I get an immediate yes? So we bought 40 freezers from China.
And they're sitting in a warehouse because you right now have been 8. Is that correct?
They are sitting in a storage unit, and I think there's 20 left. I bought them for GNC as a fix for that issue. We have them in 8. We have them in 8. I'm trying to think. Where are the other ones? Fresh Time just recently said yes because we had the freezers.
Okay.
And so we have 7 going out.
So the chapter of the book is going to be like freezer time and talking about the challenges of.
How do you buy something from China and have it not be garbage?
You had to figure things out.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
That's
a chapter.
Yeah,
of
it was
freezer
like
time.
everything that I accounted for, like every problem that possibly could happen in the 6 months from me ordering them to them being delivered. I thought of everything except all the things that actually happened.
Yep, that you didn't think about.
Yeah.
I think isn't that the thing that we talked about, the perseverance?
You're 70% in.
Yeah.
You have to make a decision.
Yeah.
When you're 70% in, you got to finish the other 30%.
What's that mean? What does that mean to someone? That today, go back to the 2.5 year in, Rebecca.
Okay.
And you're like, you're 70% in. You got to go the other 30. What's that mean to someone? They could be starting a bakery company. They could be opening a gym. They could start a real estate company. What's that mean? It sounds like they're signing up for things that they have no idea what they're signing up for.
No, but if you have belief in why you're doing it and what you're doing, it goes down to values. Self-respect, values. What are they? Do you have it? Do you have self-respect? Do you have values? What are they? Act accordingly.
And go buy freezers.
Just go buy freezers. Well, luckily, like Main Street Ventures and the Northern Kentucky Entrepreneur Fund were a huge catalyst in that because we received a grant. And so part of that grant money went for the freezers. And so it's community like that, like I was talking about, and the people that you surround yourself with and the things that Cincinnati has for business owners. Get into the community. They'll help you. Like they just want to help small businesses. And so that was a huge catalyst.
Where would you start though? If you're giving that advice to the Rebecca of years ago, you're like, get into the community. You're like, what community?
Well, I was very lucky because I jumped into the Incubator Kitchen Collective very early on. It's like Findlay Kitchen, Incubator Kitchen Collective. That's a small like startup kitchen, so you can rent time and space.
Associated with Findlay Market, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So like the overhead is really nothing compared to if you need to, buy a brick and mortar or whatever. And at the time, Kentucky didn't have a home baker's law. And so I had to have a place to bake. I could not bake out of my house and sell the stuff. Now they have a home baker's law. So you could. But that's where I found my community. And Rachel has done some amazing things with it. It's a nonprofit in Newport. They have a couple of different locations. And she just wants to help small businesses, do their things, fill their dreams.
What will you name the book? You didn't even know what the end of the question was going to be. I was like, what would you name? And you started laughing. I'd be interested to hear what happened in that brain when I said, what would you name?
Well,
what will you name the book? Yeah, well, hold on. Because of what? When I said, what would you name?
Well, I don't know. I have quite an imagination.
I was like, where are we going with this? Yes. So what would you name the book? What's the title?
I have no idea. I honestly, that would take me I'm a thinker in those aspects, like, because it would have to evoke all the emotion and all the stuff and all the depth. So
something about the journey, something
Yeah.
about it.
I don't know.
What do you,
Maybe that's my next thing. I'll write a book.
it can
Ugh,
help from a marketing
know.
perspective. It takes a ton of time.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of friends who
I
have.
really have no interest in doing that. But if someone wants to write a book for me, I can tell you about my life.
You can have a ghostwriter.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that. All right. So you're not someone that inherently cares about what people think about you anymore, although you've been a people pleaser in the past.
Keywords.
I know. Yep. And so, but what do you want people to know about you, though? Focus on the
man.
word no. What do you want them to know about you?
I think I'd want them to just know and understand my passion behind this. Because I think when people latch on to your reasons why, or they can relate to it, then, the business will be successful. So I would want people to understand my integrity and my values and why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, and that I actually, enjoy helping people, and that I need cake every day. Like it's mostly just to fulfill my own want and need, but I don't know. I would love everybody to know me because I think I'm pretty fun.
What does fun Rebecca look like on a daily basis?
This.
Okay. Smiling.
Yeah.
Great energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Giving everything
I'm
you've got.
inquisitive. I like to learn about people. I like to figure out, what makes people tick. It took me a long time to figure out about that.
Did you have to figure out what made you tick first?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But I think that's why I know it's so important to know that. And so that's why I'm so inquisitive on other people. That's why I ask a lot of questions.
Why is it important?
Well, because I want people to feel as free with their life as I do now. Like, for so long, I was not. I was living for other people, and I was people pleasing, and I was,
Trapped.
living in by my own self doing for the most part. I don't know that I
But
knew
you didn't know.
Yeah,
You didn't
I
know.
didn't know any better.
You didn't know.
But to be able to like open that door.
What fascinates you? Has to be something. Like it's kind of a big word, but you're a curious person.
Mhm.
You're inquisitive. You're a thinker. You're a doer. What's fascinating to you? Could be the cosmos, right? It could be black holes and the new black energy that they're figuring out about, which is just wild things these days.
I think what fascinates me is the abyss of places that people go to escape their life. Like, why do you go there? Why? Why all the way out there? Why on your phone? Why addictions? Why do you go to escape your life everywhere?
Why do you
That's
think
what
it is in general?
I don't think people are taught how to, like, the whole trauma response. Like, I don't think people are taught how to deal with their feelings.
We're running. That's what it is. We're running away from the things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But you got to run into it.
Yeah. Well, that's a very healthy relationship. And I think the most important thing is that me growing up as a kid, I had somebody in my life that was alcoholism, addiction, all that stuff. And it's like, what I knew was, I won't get off on the topic of whether alcoholism is a disease or not and all that stuff, because it sends waves inside me, because I'm like, things are decisions. They're decisions, folks. And so the important thing, though, is that most of those folks, they're using that to cover up something traumatic, something in their life. And it's like, hey, if you can get to a point where you can at least have some relationship and deal with the thing that's happened, or the things happening that's causing you to use that as the outlet to make it go away. The problem is you got to do that every day.
Well, you got to understand where it's coming from. You got to understand why you do that.
That's it. Because you're going to have to like make it go away every day if you don't deal with it. And that sucks, right?
That's where you get into trouble.
That's it. Yes. But we could have great relationships and make things not go away, but come to us in a better, more healthy way with the Body Bakery.
Yes.
Company.
And so that is one thing. Like, I probably eat these every day. They're not as sweet as your regular cakes and cookies, but if you're not eating cakes and cookies every day, they're sweet enough.
Yeah.
But they literally have allowed me to repair that relationship with food, because I could eat it every day and there was no guilt attached to it. There was no sick to my stomach. There was no, well, you already ate one cookie, you might as well eat the whole pack. You've already ruined your diet today. You might as well just keep going. They're satisfying. They're high in fiber, so they keep you full. Like, just all the things. And then protein. Like, everybody.
Of course you all. We need this. Let's go.
We do.
So before we've been doing
Sorry.
this for no, this is
I
good.
told you we could fill it up.
No, yeah, we could. So, but I'm interested in. So I have this office building here and have the real estate company in it, and I built out an awesome gym for us.
Okay.
I still haven't used it the way I'm supposed to.
What?
Yeah, it's unacceptable. However, I haven't.
Okay.
But it's great. I walk by it every morning, multiple
You're proud of
times a
it.
day. Well, it looks good.
Oh,
and
that's
there's some people in there using it.
Which is huge. Look at what you've done for other people.
Yeah, I need to start doing some of it for myself.
Well, yeah, but
where do we start instead of just walking in there and jumping on a treadmill and all that? Like, so many people, they avoid things because it seems so big.
Yeah. Or they don't understand it, or they
Yes.
don't know how to do it.
Yeah. If you don't have a bunch of money to hire a trainer and all that,
Correct.
right? So
I started with a trainer, and so that's where I learned a lot of it. But when the trainer told me, the purpose of you hiring me is not to just do what I tell you to do. It's to learn what I know so you can then go on your own and do it. So after I wasn't with the trainer anymore, I YouTubed. I, would find a program. I would research, read, watch, and you learn. Go do it. Ask somebody in the gym. Like people in the gym are some are more than willing to help. Some are way too willing to help. And then some need to be left alone. So like read the room and be self-aware. But most of the time, if you don't understand an equipment or something, like just tap someone on the shoulder and be like, do you mind telling me how to do this? Most people are nice enough to help you.
But that requires confidence.
Who cares? You're never going to see him again. I mean, and maybe you will, but who cares?
But most likely they're going to quit. You're not going to, right? That's great. Is that the statement of the day? I think when these guys put out content, it's like Rebecca Southern. Who cares?
Well, I mean, the reality is like at the end of the day, are you going to sit back and do yourself a disservice because you're going to feel uncomfortable to ask a question? Or are you going to step out, ask the question, and then learn something? Like, so who cares? Who cares if they think you're stupid? You're living your life. They're not living your life. So who cares?
So good. What else do we need to know here? Because people are going to be very happy around here that you brought these things. And I told you that. I was like, oh, we have goodies. And they love days like this. It's not today Bourbon Day.
This was not have a drink at 10 a.m. day.
For some folks, it may have been, but not for us.
Not for us.
Yeah.
What do people need to know about the treats?
Yeah, just when I go around the office and I share this with folks, what am I going to tell them and how am I going to represent your thing? Because you need advocates. Rebecca needs advocates for the things.
I do.
So I'm going to go around and I'm going to say this one for you because. This one for you because, or they're all just so amazing. Every one of them's a dream.
Well, that's so funny because people ask, what's your favorite or what's the most popular? And the reality is the desserty stuff is the most popular. So the Buckeyes, the cheesecake and the carrot cake, those are our best sellers. The muffins will change your life if you throw them in the microwave for 20 seconds. Like get them all nice and soft and melty. And more of a breakfast thing, but can grab and go. And then the Sammys are delicious. I like them best at room temperature because the cookie's softer, or about an hour out of the freezer because they're like an ice cream sandwich. So it just really depends. So people ask, I'm like, well, are you a fruit person or are you a chocolate person? Like, do you have to have peanut butter? Like it really.
So she's designed something for everyone, you all.
Well, kind of.
So own it. Just say, yes, that's what I've done.
Yeah.
What were we joking about when you came on about the muffins, though? We had a little joke about it.
Well, because I gave some of my stuff a little bit of personality. So these are Nomo muffin top.
Are you trying to have me have a conversation with myself? Is that what we're doing here?
So when I made these, I realized, well, these aren't really going to rise exactly like a muffin where you have the bottom of the muffin and then the big, nice. And I liked these cups because they're bakeable, so I didn't have to have them in a muffin tin. They stand on their own. And so I was like, well, they're more like just the top of the muffin. But then at the time, muffin top was such a thing in the body world. Like no one wants a muffin top.
To go off the deep end.
It definitely was a girl thing, but it's like no one wants a muffin top, and everybody knows what that is.
It's not just a girl thing.
And so I named them Nomo muffin tops. Like,
if you eat these enough, you'll have no more muffin top.
I'm not promising that.
That's what we'd be careful of.
Yeah.
So we talked about you don't like excuse makers.
Mm-mm.
You're a very positive, optimistic person.
Yeah.
What else don't you like? Give us one more thing. What else don't you like? Wimpy people in the gym like me. I come in and you're over there working hard and I'm like, hey, give me a break. I got a 60-pound weight here. I'm really trying to do something in life.
I don't like prideful people. I don't like, and it's not that I don't like the people. I don't like the pride. I think there's a point where being proud is important of what you've done or who you are or the choices you've made. But like ego and pride, it's very unattractive to me in friends, family, spouses, like in every aspect.
So talk about
It's a sign of ignorance.
Yeah, you hesitated on that. You held back today.
On which part? What did I hold back on?
The one there at the end when you said it's a sign of ignorance.
Well, I just thought about it. I feel like that's pretty
Yeah.
Ignorant.
Why is that? So ignorance is not knowing, right? Ignorant of the fact. You might mean something else, but
Yeah,
that's
I might
right?
mean something else.
You're intending something more like mean.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I don't like.
You're
to
not
think
that.
I'm a mean person, but I feel like it's very selfish. Like I think it's not a very becoming attribute. I don't think it should be anybody's value to have a huge ego or a lot of pride, because it won't get you very far. I don't feel.
So it seems like I agree with that. I do. There's just a lot of these characteristics that we could share about us and humans, and they all mean kind of the same thing, but then something different,
Yeah.
and then we're like,
And it depends on who's interpreting it
yeah,
and
like
the
what it means
experiences
to
they've
you.
had. And
Yeah, because it's like, be confident, but not arrogant.
yeah.
And there's so many people that don't understand the difference.
And like the gray line is this thick.
Huge, yeah. And it's like, now we got to make sure we don't step over into the gray area, because that's not a healthy place. And then I'm somebody like, okay, like I get it. That's not a good place to live. But Jesus, every once in a while, life goes there. And that's where you figure shit out.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sitting here learning. All right, so 42 going on like 65 with how brilliant you are.
Oh,
No, this is a good thing. With how brilliant you are.
I'd
You
look
didn't-
good as a 65-year-old now.
Well, there you go. Look, you're like, look at you.
I don't
You're
know how I look as a 42-year-old, but as a 65-year-old, I look pretty good.
I think that what I know is when people are healthy, they look way better at their age than if they weren't.
Mm.
I know that. I can speak from experience, from other people. When you get healthy, it just does something. Your body just smiles and shines.
Mm-hmm.
Inside, it's happening. Outside, it's happening.
Mhm.
You feel good even on your toughest days. And when we're not healthy, it's just harder to smile sometimes.
Yeah.
You just
And
don't
healthy
feel
on
as
all
good.
aspects, right?
Yes.
So mental, emotional, physical, all the things.
You're making sure you bring me back and check on that. I know the mental thing. Yeah. All right. So we talked about things you're excited about the future and the growth. You have big things you can't talk about that are coming.
Maybe.
Yeah. I
I'm
get it.
crossing my fingers.
Yeah, maybe. The final thing that I want to talk about, you said something earlier, and you used one word that I would never think that word would come out of your mouth. And you must have a positive relationship with it somehow. You said the word can't. You said it one time about 11 minutes ago. And so it was about you can't do everything.
Okay. In talking about the business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. So talk about that, because when I say it, you're like, no, I don't believe that. No, that's not me. But it's like, okay, is that a reality sometimes? And for people that are individuals that figure stuff out, that they're not going to quit. Like, what do you do with I just can't do this?
Well, you got to understand where the line is. Like, I can't do, if I want the business to be and go to X, Y, and Z, I cannot, I physically, mentally, all the things, cannot do it by myself. Now, I could probably accomplish it and get it done through other avenues, but for a long time, I've been doing it all by myself, and I am to the point where I'm like, I cannot do this all by myself anymore.
You've convinced me that that's positive for a person who's not going to quit.
Well, yeah, and I think you got to know what that limit is.
But so many people use that word and then quit is the next move.
No.
Right? It's
Yeah.
a figure outable technique
Mhm.
for you. It's like, I just can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So what's the next move?
Yeah.
Okay. We might have figured out a positive twist to camp today.
Well, I think can't's important. I think you got to understand what you can't.
But parents tell kids that way too much.
Well,
What are you going to do with it, huh? 2024, I think you're going to look back. It's going to be a great year for you.
probably.
Not in the place of great year. I think it is, right?
Okay.
I believe it. I see things happening here. I get to be around a lot of folks doing stuff now. And it's not necessarily about this. It's about this. It's about this.
Oh yeah.
Right? And so I like people coming in here that have big energy, that are passionate about doing their thing, that I believe like they've gone all in.
Oh, I'm all in.
Yeah. You end up figuring it out.
You have to.
Well,
Or what?
yeah.
Or what? You go back to a corporate job and
Yeah. You go back to the life that you really didn't want.
Yeah.
And so many folks do, and what they don't realize is they were so close. They were so close. They just quit. They just quit way, way too late. If you're going to quit, just quit right when you start. Just serious. Just go ahead and just know you're going to quit and just quit right then. Like the pain of a
Yeah,
month
but people do that.
No, but what I'm saying, it's actually probably healthy when they do because they were definitely going to quit later when they shouldn't have been all the time.
That's fair.
It's because they're a quitter. And so it's like, man, if you've got in a really large volume of time and energy and money, like that is not the time to quit. So many people are so close. They can't see it because they're in their own bubble. And from the outside, it's like, oh, you're close. Like, I don't know exactly how close, but that's close because you listen to all the pain, the things they figured out, the stuff happening in their mind.
Why do you think people quit then at that point?
I just think life changes sometimes for folks. And it just.
That is fair.
Yeah. And I think they stop believing in the outcome.
Life happens.
Yeah, I mean it does. I try not. I've grown and evolved in this judgment piece on trying not to judge folks. But what I just do want to tell them is like, man, like why? Why'd you put all that time in? Like why'd you grow and learn in those ways? And now you're just gonna. Don't say that you grew and learned to realize now what you truly want. No, I think what you truly wanted started with the idea, with the vision, with the commitment. So commit when you start. But if you're gonna quit, if it's too hard right in the beginning, just go ahead and quit now. Just, I'm serious because I see folks that they got the quitter instinct in them.
Yeah.
They do. You see it, right? And so I'm not telling them they have it. I just see it. And there's moments I'm like, oh, there's a couple too many characteristics that are coming together here. And that person just isn't the individual yet that's going to be willing to persevere later.
And I think those are entrepreneurial things, though. And so that person probably... this isn't for them.
Yeah, but you know what's awesome about this world now? This world, it's this term called entrepreneurial. And if you can find one or two of those people, if they can find a you and they find a me, they'll actually be way happier being a number 2, a number 3, or a number 4 because they don't have, right? So what about that? You're like,
I need one of those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they can actually be more happy at times than me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because there's just not the same level of pressure at night. Like a lot of things fall, but all you need them to be is like they need to buy in, like be a passionate part of this thing. Like go all in with me, but not all the pressure's on you. I just need you to come in and execute.
Well, and know what, like I need that person to be good at that stuff that I'm not good at.
Yeah, that cares about being great.
Yes.
That cares about doing a good job, right? And that wants to carry the brand and wants to be a great voice for it and be this passionate kind of advocate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they can actually feel they're just as close to the sun that it feels like theirs too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think you have to be a number 1. Maybe I used to early on in my rigidity of the chip on my shoulder.
I don't think you can because not everybody can be a number 1. If everybody was the number 1, like, no, you need people that are really good number 2s and really good number 3s and 10s and all that stuff.
Oh, we could go for another hour about if everyone could. I'm not saying they should.
Okay.
But most could, though. I've learned this about life because I don't think I was an extraordinary human. I think I'm an ordinary human that's just doing extraordinary things.
Okay.
And so I think most humans, we're just ordinary.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, we get a little bit better at things. We define goals. We gain a little bit more confidence. We have a little bit more self-esteem. Then we believe in ourselves a little bit more. And then that becomes the individual who can. Yeah,
and I think that comes down to values.
There you go.
Like form your values and then stand on those.
And let those be the foundation for your life. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for your time.
The Body Bakery and Company. I mean, if your company ends up becoming as successful as your packaging, as the person that you are, as your energy, as your belief, there's big things in the future.
Aw, thanks.
Listen, just buy me like something healthy when you're a multi-billionaire. Just be like, oh yeah, like I remember that guy, and he's still kind of the same. And his podcast,
was right.
Yeah, his podcast is kind of still the same. And like, hey, I see you, man. But thanks for what you're doing. It's awesome. I love that people are. This is what the world needs. The world needs a bunch of people that are passionate about different things, making every part of this experience great.
Yeah, a little bit better.
Yeah, and you might inspire me, maybe, to work on the no-mo muffin top. So we can get these goods at GNC's here in Cincinnati.
Uh-huh.
We can probably get them. Are
Get
they
them at Better Blend.
Better Blend, right?
Uh-huh.
Are they
They're at Jungle
Gyms?
Mm-hmm.
Why did we not talk about that till now? I have a lot of Jungle Gyms connections.
I could keep talking. We are at Jungle Gyms.
Okay.
They're in the natural foods.
Give me the price point, the suggested price point for these types of
5
things.
to 7, depending on the treat.
The treat. That's the first time that's come out. $5 to $7. Oh, how 2024 prices for everything have gone up.
Correct.
Has that been tough?
Oh gosh. You know what? We grew in 2020, and 2020 was a good year for us.
Mhm.
It didn't hit us until 21 and 22 when the debacle of like supply chain and you can't get protein and all kinds of stuff. So.
And you figured it out.
Yeah.
All right. Tell us why us human beings. Last words are for you. Why should we keep going?
Because why not? What else do you have to do? Are you going to make it worth it? Are you going to turn around one day and be like, that was a pretty cool life? Why not?
That's awesome. Thank you. Have an awesome time. Thanks for giving us this hour and 18 minutes.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.